Imagine waking up one morning and suddenly being treated like a real prisoner. You're arrested, searched, locked inside a cell, except none of it is real. The guards are just college students. The prisoners are students too. It was supposed to be a harmless psychology experiment. But after only a few days, people started breaking mentally. And what happened inside that fake prison became one of the most disturbing experiments ever conducted. In 1971, a psychology professor at Stanford University wanted to answer one terrifying question: what happens when ordinary people are given power over others? To find out, he created a fake prison inside the basement of Stanford University. Volunteers were paid to participate, healthy college students, normal people. Some were randomly chosen to become guards, others became prisoners. Nobody expected things to spiral out of control this quickly. The prisoners weren't simply asked to walk into the experiment. Real police officers actually arrived at their homes. Neighbors watched as students were handcuffed and searched like criminals. Some of them laughed nervously at first, others looked genuinely terrified. But once they were placed inside police cars, the atmosphere completely changed. Suddenly, this no longer felt like a game. The fake prison was built inside a dark university basement. Small prison cells lined the hallway. Fluorescent lights buzzed constantly overhead. There were no windows, no clocks, no sense of time. The prisoners were stripped, searched, and given prison uniforms. Their names were taken away. From that moment on, they were identified only by numbers. The guards, meanwhile, were given uniforms, mirrored sunglasses, and wooden batons. They were told only one thing: maintain control. That first night, almost nobody slept. The prisoners sat silently inside their cells. The guards slowly walked through the hallways, watching them. At first, things felt awkward, almost uncomfortable, like everyone still remembered this was just an experiment. But sometime during the night, something changed. The guards began speaking more aggressively. Orders became punishments. Punishments became humiliation. And the strangest part? Nobody had instructed the guards to behave this way. By the next morning, some guards were already enjoying their authority. Prisoners were forced to do endless push-ups. Some were screamed at for minor mistakes. Others were forced to stand against walls for hours. One prisoner later said the guards seemed to slowly stop seeing them as real people. They became numbers, objects, things to control. And little by little, the fake prison stopped feeling fake. On the second day, the prisoners finally snapped. They barricaded themselves inside their cells and refused to follow orders. The guards panicked. Then they fought back aggressively. Fire extinguishers were sprayed directly into the cells. Prisoners were dragged out and stripped of basic privileges. Blankets were removed. Beds were taken away. Some prisoners were isolated completely. The guards now worked together almost like a real prison staff, and every hour they became colder. Then came the emotional breakdowns. One prisoner suddenly began screaming uncontrollably. He cried violently and begged to leave. At first, the guards accused him of pretending, but eventually, researchers realized he was genuinely collapsing mentally. He had to be removed from the experiment. But even after witnessing this, the study continued, and somehow things got even worse. Some guards began inventing cruel punishments on their own. They forced prisoners to repeat numbers for hours. They humiliated them in front of others. Some guards even appeared to enjoy the power they had. What terrified researchers later was how quickly normal students adapted to cruelty. Just days earlier, these were ordinary college kids. Now, some of them barely seemed recognizable, but the prisoners weren't the only people changing. Even the professor running the experiment slowly became consumed by it. He stopped seeing the participants as students. He started thinking like a prison superintendent. When prisoners begged to leave, he often treated them like actual inmates instead of volunteers. Somehow, nearly everyone inside the basement became trapped in the roles they were playing. Then one person walked into the prison and immediately realized something was terribly wrong. A young graduate student visited the experiment and watched guards humiliating prisoners late at night. She was horrified. Unlike everyone else inside the basement, she still saw the participants as human beings. She confronted the lead researcher directly and demanded the experiment end immediately. The experiment was originally supposed to last 2 full weeks. It ended after only 6 days. By the end, several prisoners were emotionally shattered. The guards had become disturbingly aggressive, and one terrifying question remained. If ordinary people could change this quickly, what does that say about human nature? Decades later, the Stanford Prison Experiment remains one of the most controversial psychology studies in history. Some people believe it exposed the darkness hidden inside ordinary humans. Others believe the experiment itself manipulated people into becoming cruel. But maybe the most disturbing part is how normal everyone was before it began. Because under the right conditions, almost anyone can change.